Hi, this is Gideon Fidelzeid, Managing Editor of PRWeek. It is my great pleasure to be here today with Major John Caldwell, Director of Public Affairs at Marine Corps Recruiting Command. Major, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Gideon. It's an honor.
And it is indeed an honor as well, because actually we're sitting here today after having just completed our Student of the Year judging. We can't tell you the results of that until March 7th, but definitely be on the lookout for that. But it was a wonderful opportunity to talk to the Major today, and one of the first things I wanted to talk to you about was it must be an incredible challenge to try to recruit during a time when so many troops are deployed in active duty. So what are some of the challenges of your job as it relates to that?
Actually, just the opposite is true. It's a lot easier to recruit in times of sustained conflict, especially for the Marine Corps, because it's truth in advertising. And most people that are interested in and join the Marine Corps are looking for a challenge, and they're looking to get out there and help others in need, but also do everything, across the whole spectrum of military operations, from the high intensity stuff to, again, like I was mentioning, the humanitarian assistance and disaster relief type stuff. Okay, and on a more general level, obviously you're in a top level communications position at a very unique organization. What are some of the general challenges, or what are some of the more interesting aspects of communicating in your particular role at your particular organization? Well, directing public affairs for the Marine Corps Recruiting Command, it's a nationwide effort, and we have a number of field activities that I supervise. But one of the unique components to this is supporting the advertising and marketing efforts of our command. They're really the nation's, the recruiting command's premier communication voice to the American public. So whereas typically you'd be doing a lot of different things, I'm constantly seeking opportunities to get earned awareness kind of wrapped around our significant investment in our marketing and advertising activities. We do some straight up conventional community engagement type stuff and normal media outreach. But a lot of what I do is spend time developing, like I said, earned awareness campaigns around our paid advertising efforts.
Very interesting. And speaking of those efforts, a current ongoing campaign that the Marine Corps has going on is called Toward the Sound of Chaos. I believe it kicked off in the early part of 2012. It's been pretty successful for you guys, but I'd like for you to talk a little bit about that campaign, how it's done in the almost the year that it's been out there, and some of the changes that have gone on within that campaign over the course of the past year.
Okay. Well, there was a lot of research that we did independent leading up to the development of this campaign, and we really took a hard look at the millennial youth and the things that are important to them. And what we found is a lot of what they're interested in aligns with what it is that we are as a Marine Corps in service to our nation. So what Toward the Sound of Chaos intends to do is broaden the scope of the public's understanding of what it is that we do in support of our nation as its premier crisis response force. And we do it in an authentic way. Obviously there's well-produced advertisements, but we also have some webisodes that are located online with that content that drive content from Marine combat camera and correspondent video, as well as news reports that show us across the full spectrum of operations. So you'll see some very kinetic type operations in Afghanistan, but then you'll see some humanitarian assistance and disaster relief both in Japan and Pakistan.
It's very interesting, very well-rounded, broad campaign. It's done very, very well for the Marine Corps thus far, I believe. The last question I want to ask you, perhaps a bit more on a personal level, but when we do these interviews for PRWeek, we don't often come across people who have been deployed during a time of war. Now, you spent, I believe, a couple of tours in Iraq. I would just love to know what that was like, both as a communicator and just as a soldier.
Okay. Well, the first trip was just a brief assessment tour at the multinational force Iraq headquarters in Baghdad. I went there with a group of senior public affairs officers from all the services, and we went to assess the strategic communication efforts that were ongoing there at that time in support of General Petraeus, who was in charge. So that was just a brief one. And from a spectator's perspective, just as a person on the ground, it was quite interesting and challenging. There were mortars coming into our compound on a daily basis, so that kind of affects you mentally, the way you go about your day-to-day operations. But just to significant effort there at that time. The second tour was more substantial. I went back in January of 2008, and I was there through basically July of that year, so a little over 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a fantastic opportunity. And one of the things that I enjoyed the most beyond facilitating American or Western media coverage of our operations was reaching out to the nascent indigenous media presence there in Anbar province where I was at. Once we were able to locate who they were, what they were doing, we did our best to try to see how we could help them be more effective. But the team that I was with, we were the first ones to actually embrace them and bring them aboard our compound and let them cover firsthand some of the high-level talks we were doing on security and governance. Mm-hmm. So that was very exciting, and it was very rewarding.
Wow, that's really fascinating. And speaking on behalf of PRWeek, and this is an American, we obviously want to thank you and all the Marines for just the wonderful things that you do for this country. And all you PR pros out there, if you think you have a difficult job, just remember Major Caldwell, okay? But anyway, Major Caldwell, thank you so much for taking time today to talk to me. I really do appreciate it.
Thanks,
Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Thanks a lot.